hearing how you went about setting these AI coders up and lessons that I might be able to take away from for setting up the documentation.
Most of all, I did mine are client server apparatuses. I have my Windows system because that's where all our users are at. Or most of our users are going to be on Windows just because it's the most predominant operating system. So I try to code on Windows, and that gives me a test bed, and then B for coding. And then because PowerShell is so slow, especially on an established development machine, it has a lot. Every time you open up a terminal or a prompt, it takes it 5 seconds just to give you the prompt itself because it has to go through all the process. And when you're using Codex or RueCode or any of them, every time they do a functionality on which involves a prompt, if you've seen Codex when it works, it goes through it's doing something like it's making a text change or stuff like that. And a development machine, each time it has to open up PowerShell. So each time that took 5 seconds. And that adds up when you're talking about a longer task. You could have 100 of those. So now you're at 500 seconds of those kind of things. So that's where Hank was having issues. And also when building, it splits the build up between two systems. So I don't have one CPU being hogged by everything. It's like, okay, you take the back end, you take the front end, and I'm faster to the finish line that way. That was the main thing. Second thing is in each one of my projects that I develop, I have a docs directory. And from there, that is where we plan everything. And it's like and both plan and we do a debriefing, so to speak. Because it's like, first of all, I come up with an idea, or like I'm doing bounce. Now, I already know certain things that I'm doing for the bounce, such as we're not going to try to rewrite it. We are looking at doing a recode. I'm assuming that whatever I did before got messed up. Um, so I will put all those specifications in and I'll say, hey, we're going to create a plan. And I put it in the docs directory in its own little folder. And we use Markdown format. So because it's structured better for the AI when it rereads it. And that's where the plan goes. Then I take a view of it. I ask questions just in case it puts something I don't like. I make changes, which tends to be 100% of the time. I'll make a few. You didn't take this into account. I didn't bring up this when you were doing your design, but I noticed you're missing it. So let's make those changes. And then I say, go, implement. From there, I also tell when not only are you implementing it, you're keeping a log of every change you make. So that if something goes wrong, if I don't like something, A, I have a way to go backwards, but B, I can also target A. I can go in there and fix it myself. In most cases, right, that way it doesn't go off course anymore than it already did. But it gives me a backtrack way, breadcrumbs, so to speak, to go backwards and clean something up. That's the best way I have found to utilize any of these AI systems is first looking at the plan going forward, and then second, keep a log of any changes you make. And for that, it excels on any human being that I've ever worked with in my life. Because it's like most human beings will just give you hey, I'm bad at it. It's like, hey, a glancing view, this is what I did. Because I don't remember every step. But
Okay, so it sounds like there's two buckets of work here to
yep,
set this up. If you were starting over,
yep.
the first bucket of work is your environment and like getting it so it's fast.
Yeah, I don't think because you don't code. I think for documents and dealing with text, you just need to be able to see the code and be able to create documentation based off the code.
Yeah,
That's where
we're
so
gonna get to
you
that. Yeah,
yep,
I still want to understand for coding.
yep,
Also, for anyone else that's watching the live stream, just a summary of what did you do to set up the
yep,
environment so that it's fast and not
yep.
slow?
Yeah, I do not use and this will go to the developers now, because since you brought that up, I do not use WSL, simply because while it is Unix as far as 90% of it, at the end of the day, it still isn't. So I always do a two system. I don't call it a rule like that, but I have a Unix a server level Unix system, and I just go into that. It has all the hardware it could do, and like I said, that's where we get. I have two systems working at the same time.
So for speeding up development, you have two systems
Yep,
working at the same time.
yep.
And what is the difference between those two systems?
One is full bred Ubuntu server, and the other one is Windows 11. So I
And
almost have
why have both?
because not all tools are on each side, but this gives me all the tools on each side. It's like because if I want to do something on a Windows stuff, well, you don't have access to at a prompt other than PowerShell and stuff like that without going through some hoops. And then, like I said, you're not even WSL is not completely an Ubuntu or Linux type operating system. It's just a makeshift environment. So what I do is, and like I said, and then it separates where I can have one thing working on the background. Let's say I want my AI on Jimmy to do something on the back end, and they can sit there and work, and then I can do something on the front end without costing any resources.
Because you have the two machines.
Yep,
Okay, so you'll put a Codex instance running on the Ubuntu system. You'll have it doing stuff on the back end, and then you'll come over and start working on the front end on the Windows PC.
yep, all the
Okay?
time.
And so is that the main reason to have two systems is so you can do
Pretty
work
much for me, it is because, like I said, I get the best of both worlds. There are some things
then
that are just
you can decide based on the work that you're doing, am I going to have the AI up doing stuff on the Windows PC and I'll be over here on the Ubuntu machine or vice versa?
And yes, and additionally, when you're dealing with scripts and getting the AI to participate in solving problems, like there's a lot of housekeeping stuff that goes along. It's a good example. I create a plugin. I got to package up the plugin into a release copy that our system will know. If you do it in PowerShell, you get a bunch of little nuances and issues. And I've also noticed I do not get structured results a lot of times, just because how PowerShell is very different. But I have a Bash script that does it perfect every time, it without fail. So, like I said, I can still be doing my front end stuff, and I can work with a plugin on the back end to get it all packaged up and to upload it and get it done.
Okay. All right. So that's the environment set
Yep.
up. Then it sounds like there's things you have to do to get the AI ready to start working on the code base.
Yes, and that's mainly documentation of like I keep a document directory. Each system you use has a rule file, so to speak. RueCode is called like Rue rules, and they've broken it down where you can go into we'll call it a rule file HELL because they have so many different kinds now. Klein has theirs. I don't use Klein as much. They're just not coming along, but RueCode is my second favorite. Codex has it's Agent MD, and they probably have a few others. I haven't looked at any updates of what they've done recently with the recent changes last week to see if they've expanded that. But this allows you to say, hey, I am developing this type of system. It uses this type of tech. My back end is here. And I do certain things like I tell it, it's like instead of it trying to, because RueCode's bad about this, instead of trying to do a command, it will like it's already in the back end and it tries to do a command assuming that it's at the core prompt or the project level, it gets it mistaken and that slows everything up. So inside my rule file, I always tell it things like always assume that this is your relative path and put it in front of every command path that you're using. So it'll always go from the root level and build the command. And this way I'm never having to say you did the front end command in a back end directory. And it
Okay, and
just
this is what Claude MD is, right? For
yeah,
Claude
yeah,
Code.
Claude and doing root code.
Okay. And
Yeah.
all right, so the first thing is set up your rules file.
Yeah.
Second thing,
Then second thing, I have a document directory. And that is where I do all my planning and my debriefings of when we execute work. and I
Okay.
keep it, and I don't ever trash it. I also don't ever put it on GitHub because nobody wants to see all the crap that I do, to be blunt. Because I try stuff that just doesn't work, and then sometimes I reapproach it, and that's why I have those files there, because I can learn from me learning, not just the AI, how to approach problems better and improve, because it improves my results. And this has come from a when we first started, this was everything was like, hey, let's wild wild west this bad boy, to a nope, we want good results, and to get good results you have to have a good plan, and from there you can get good results and then move forward faster. And that's what contributed to, hey, the progress we've made recently.
Okay. So what is in this documents directory again?
um it is a very, hold on, we will take a quick look at my mess, because and you can organize this any way you want, so just so people know. Let's go. We're just going to go straight to this one. Let's go to share. Here, boom. There we go. I have two of them right now. Simply just because I believe one time I named it with a lowercase d. But as you can see, I start to.
You're not sharing.
Oh, I'm not sharing.
Oh, let me stop sharing, actually.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Okay.
I'm sharing. Yeah.
Okay. Ready? Now I'll
Yep.
share. There we go. Boop, boop. Is that what? Yeah, I am. Okay. This is my VS Code. Let's see. This is my docs directory, as you can see right here. I have two of them, and I'll be blunt. This is how exact it is. One time I typed in a small lowercase d docs, and it takes it verbatim and ran along with it. But this is my main one. As I'm working on things, I create directories. As I said, I have a lot of junk in here, based on what I'm doing, and I will sit here and say, hey, let's work on the back end, and I'm working on chat history, and then I will going to come on and create a plan. Now, this plan I really probably didn't do anything with, but as you can see, we start to create the plan together, and this gives me something to look at what the AI is going to do. And let's say I don't like something here. I do not normally tell the AI to make a change here, because in those cases, I've noticed it doesn't make the complete change. It'll pick part of this document and make the change, but it'll leave some artifacts left over. So if I notice something in this plan that I do not like, I will either A, delete it, make sure I annotate it and create a plan, and then start from scratch, or I will go in and make the change myself.
Got it.
Okay. And that's, like I say, it's like, unless you've done this a million times, little things you do not realize that's going to happen. Um, but now I see everything this AI is going to try to do in accomplishing the task. And that's a pretty important, because it's going
So,
to.
and you're doing this just in straight like ChatGPT or Claude or what?
No, no, I do this in Codex or RueCode, whichever I feel from my experience is going to give me the better plan to work with.
Okay, and Codex is OpenAI. RueCode is an open source
Is an
IDE.
open source, and I tend to use Claude when I'm using RueCode, because
Okay.
it was designed for Rue or for Claude originally, so I feel it's always better with Claude.
Okay. So let's say, I'm developing something for the back end,
Yep.
right? Then I want to create a plan with the AI about what I want to do and how it's going to go about doing it.
Yes.
That's what you're saying. And what
Yes.
context am I giving the AI besides like, this is what I want to do?
I will tend to tell it these are the files that I'm going to work with. So I go in and like, let's say if a good example, if I know we are going to, let's go to here, let's go to apps, core. Here we go. This is a perfect example that we do initializer work sometimes.
Yep.
Okay. If I know that I'm having it either A, grabbing information from initializer because it has, when you're building a page dynamically, the code's there. I've already built it once. So I tell it to look here so it follows the same coding standard I did once. Or if I'm making a new initializer, all I will do is sit here, I'll copy the path so I know exactly is, and then when I do my prompt, I'll say here's the path, here's the user initializer. We're looking at it this, or we want to, good example, we want to increase probably the, okay, oh, that's right, that's what I was thinking
So
of.
because it's in your IDE, in your VS Code, you can tell it, go look at this file, go look at that file, and it's doing it, and that's why you do it here.
Exactly. This is why everything, as we've talked about before, and I've always tried to demonstrate, everything goes in the same VS Code so that it becomes available to the context window as I'm developing. I just give it very finite directions. Look at this area, look at this area, look at this area, because that's when you get into what's called context engineering. Now I'm controlling that window. I'm not letting it wander. I'm focusing it. We're working here.
Okay.
Okay.
So how much back and forth is there on putting together this plan? And are you using a template? It looks like you have things like reproduction, references, summary. Do you have those in all of your plans or?
Yep. Pretty much, because when you tell it to, when you're creating a plan to accomplish a task, Codex, Claude, both the same. They create different plans. I like them for different. Like I said, I choose what I'm doing, which one I want to use to create the plan, because they will create the plan a little differently. This is a this would be, what am I? This is multi-turn history. This looks like a Claude plan.
Okay.
But yes, it does. It goes
You may
through.
go and do a plan in Codex and a plan in Claude and Claude and or RueCode, which uses Claude for you
Yep.
and combine the best of both worlds.
I do. I know. I normally don't even do that. If it gets it wrong or something like that, I tend to be the blame for that. I really do. It's like I didn't give it the right information. And it's like Claude will give you more details. However, Codex just has an overall better plan, because it's a very, this is a high level, this is what we're going to work with, and doesn't get bogged down into a lot of details in what it's doing. And it executes with surgical precision on that plan too.
Okay. So once you have the plan and you're happy with the plan, how do you give the plan to the AI?
Okay. The first prompt, because you were saying the back and forth, the first prompt is simply, we are creating a plan. You are going to put this plan here. I
In a
tend to,
docs directory. This is
yep,
why you have a docs directory.
yep, put the plan here. I tell it to use Markdown format, and I tell it this is the name. Okay, because that way, like I said, it's all about control at this point. As you can tell, the goal, it is take. I gave it a description of what I want to do. It took that and created a goal based on exactly what I told it we're doing. Then it goes through the context that I've given it, and it creates, like I said, I could tell, usually when I'm solving a problem, I will tell it this is the issue, because I gave it the goal. This is the issue. This is the solution. And so it knows exactly how to succeed now. And from that, it will go through and create this. And from this, I can tell you right now whether, okay, we're on the right target. Let's do this. If it's just one little change because it's something I forgot to name or whatever, I will go in and make that change myself. It gives me all the files that it's looking at, the functionality that it's looking at. So if I question something, I can look myself and to make sure it's right there. And then when I'm happy, I like this plan. Instead of telling it to create a plan, I will tell it we are going to implement this plan at, and then I would give it, like I said, the reference, boop, right there, copy the path. This is the exact plan that's going to work from. I try to make sure this is not cluttered at all up here, because every AI, all these applications can see what tabs you have opened, and that will just cause confusion. So
Okay.
the only tabs that would ever be open are either A, if I gave it a file to look at, or B, the plan itself.
Got it.
And then I tell it we're going to implement it. And here's the plan. Here's what what we're trying to do, just in case I think of something like that. And then I tell it in either an additional file, or at the bottom of the plan, I want you to create a log of everything you do. And then I say go.
Okay.
And
And
from
how
there you
often does
start
it just
testing.
do it?
What?
How often does it just do it?
Um, Codex is far better than Claude at this point. I They're not even close. Codex, especially if your plan is good, you would be pretty close to done. You will be at 9. I think the worst case I've seen so far is minus bounce. Bounce and those kind of issues, there's going to be some back and forth because there's a lot of guessing going on and stuff like that
So the
between both.
bottleneck is the planning then, not the code.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. The better your
Okay.
plan is, the better you will execute.
And you mentioned testing. Can you test with the AI as well or no?
Some things. It depends on what. I RueCode has a little browser test. I hate it. It is slow, and I'll be blunt. It chews up money like it was free.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like I don't ever test with RueCode visually. So the browser stuff I always do. Um, the back end very good at running test scripts and stuff like that to make sure we're happy. This is where I like Ubuntu better because on the back end, which we're on Ubuntu, we can do bash scripts all day long and such like that, and Python scripts all day long, and it creates those almost with 100% accuracy rather than PowerShell, which are at best 60 to 70% for me.
Okay.
So that's why it's like I like being on an Ubuntu backend, just simply because it just makes everything else easier for me. Um, I know I've read recently you can use Playwright to do a lot of browser testing. I just haven't had the capacity to actually go in and say, hey, let's play with this and let's see if we'll get any mileage. I don't think, especially for what we're testing right now, what we're doing, especially with plugins, will we get any value at this point from doing that kind of thing?
Got it. All right. And so for me on the document side, um um it seems like just creating a documents directory. Well, I can just give it the document GitHub that I'm working on, right? And say, like, for example, I wanted to add the images to the system overview that I have in GitHub. I can just tell it, like, here's where the image is, and it should just pull it and add it and
Yep.
all that, right?
Yep. You could get away with something and let's go to backhand. Boom, let's get out of your docs. Right here, like if you know my plugin build, and we can add a new one, or you can use the plugin build. I believe I also have added a apps. Control F. Yep. You can go to here to app build, create an app build directory. You could clone your BrainDrive documents into, and I'll create this directory just to, nope, there we go. Now, if you notice that that's automatically grayed out,
Yep.
this means whatever's in there is not going to be part of your push to GitHub Core. And this is how I get away with on here, where you see a great example is I have every plugin I work on inside here. And this is how they do not get put to BrainDrive Core, because inside each one of these, which this is a good example, it has its own GitHub that it belongs to. So it's a separate world, so to speak. One's going to go to GitHub BrainDrive Core. One is going to go to BrainDrive Chat. And this would allow you to have, you have BrainDrive Core right here. And then here, you could, or example like here, you could have your BrainDrive Docs directory.
How do you get it in the same VS Code?
Uh, because I'm using in the get ignore, I've told it to my core BrainDrive Core one. I have told it to ignore certain directories, so it's not part of the core anymore. And then because it's not part of the core, it allows me to go in and one will be like BrainDrive Core, and then inside it, I will have BrainDrive Chat, or in your case, would be like BrainDrive Documents. And that will go to BrainDrive Documents right there, its own little path. And while in VS Code, they can see each other, as far as GitHub concerned, they would be separate entities. They have separate destinations. And let's see if I have this correct. No, I don't have this showing multiple. But normally when I'm working, especially on a plugin, I will have, here's my BrainDrive Core one right here on the top. And then
Yeah.
on the bottom would be such as I would have a BrainDrive chat. And those would be the changes. And that's because I have two different GitHubs repositories that are being dealt with at the same time.
And that way, when you're working on BrainDrive chat, it's referencing the core and making sure everything's working together and all that.
Yep.
Super
A-
cool.
And this allows a single AI and a single context window to take into account, which is probably why maybe I develop plugins faster than everybody else, is because I have BrainDrive backend, I have BrainDrive front end, the entire show in the same context area that I have the plugin I'm working on. So if I have a lifecycle manager issue, it can not only pull from the lifecycle manager and the documentation that exists in references if I want to use it, but I can also tell it to look inside BrainDrive backend for the install procedure and tell me if I have something wrong.
All right, that's pretty cool. I feel like I'm getting pretty close to being able to develop a plugin.
Yeah, exactly. I think all you're missing is just the little pieces that make it easy. It really, it's like because
And
you
I
only
also think we can improve our plugin developer quick start guide to have some of these scripts and rule files and how to do this thing and just
a lot of developers will do things their own way. However, I do believe that these are excellent videos for people to see it, how it look, because you can talk about this in text, and this is one of those things in text won't make a lot of sense. But you
yeah.
start to see how it comes together and what mine looks like, and as I said before, and even in my head, it's like, hey, at some point, it's like teaching people how to code and React in Python. There are a million videos for that.
Yeah.
Teaching people how to use AI to build a quick plugin, I think people would be surprised at how fast and efficient that could be.
Awesome. I think that's a good place to stop because we're up on an hour. So thank you for that was awesome. And we'll cut that out. We'll post this on the community forum, the full recording of the live stream, and then I'll slice out just the developer portion of this because that'll be a good thread as well and content to have to link from places like our plugin developer
Yep.
quick start guide. Um, like I said at the beginning of the call, we do these every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. Our mission here at BrainDrive is to make it easy to build, control, and benefit from your own AI system. And we hope to see you next week and over on the forums at
Yeah.
community.braindrive.ai.
Yep. Have a
Take
good
care,
one.
everybody.
Yep.